It's Friday, June 12th, 2026. Welcome to episode 206 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, the Planning Board studies the next phase of development at Alameda Point, a preview of the next City Council meeting, the Corica Golf dispute is settled, EBMUD has an unexpected repair, graduations in the news, a fish frenzy, APD looking to catch you in the act of doing the right thing, the latest real estate sales, and events for your weekend. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Our top story, on Monday, the Planning Board held a study session on the future of Main Street Neighborhood North at Alameda Point. Bottom line, a preliminary study concluded that redevelopment is viable if the city can secure approximately $164 to $240 million in infrastructure. Base reuse manager Nicole Franklin broke down those costs. Approximately $176 million for backbone infrastructure and site improvements, plus an additional $64 million for Main Street infrastructure, shoreline stabilization, and levee construction. Costs could be reduced by up to $75 million through partial rehabilitation rather than complete infrastructure replacement, constructing levees and shoreline stabilization only next to residential developments, and securing grants. As Ken Durr reported last week on AlamedaPost.com, the city already faces an $800 million backlog in deferred maintenance and facility upgrades spread across four broad categories: streets and traffic safety, city facilities and public safety, libraries, recreation and parks, and shoreline flood prevention, sea level and groundwater rise, and disaster mitigation. Consulting group Kaiser Marston Associates said feasibility appears achievable under both a roughly 600-unit lower density scenario and a 1,000-unit medium density scenario. The lower density option performs better financially because additional market rate housing triggers higher affordable housing obligations and Navy conveyance payments. Planning Board members broadly supported giving future developers greater flexibility to reshape the neighborhood, arguing that rigid adherence to a decade-old plan could make redevelopment infeasible, while flexibility could help unlock a project facing substantial infrastructure, flood protection, and preservation costs. A major discussion theme was the opportunity to better connect the neighborhood to the Main Street Ferry Terminal. The city plans additional outreach to advisory boards, the community, and city council to clarify neighborhood priorities before issuing a request for qualifications to select a developer. Staff emphasized that Main Street Neighborhood North is unlikely to contribute to the current housing element cycle of 2023 to 2031 because development is not expected before 2030, but it could become important for meeting future housing requirements. Full story in Karen Jensen's article at AlamedaPost.com/news. While you're there, Karen also has a preview of next Tuesday's City Council meeting. There are two housing measures on the agenda. The first is a proposal to reduce the affordable housing requirement for the final phase of the Alameda Marina development to advance construction of the stalled 259-unit apartment project known as the Foundry. This is the third phase of the project. Phase 1, the launch rental housing development, has been completed and occupied, while Phase 2 ownership housing is under construction. Phase 3 has not moved forward because of financial challenges tied to economic conditions. The developer requested permission to reduce the number of deed-restricted affordable units from 43 to 21. This request tied to the recently adopted amendments to Alameda's inclusionary housing ordinance. According to the applicant, aligning Phase 3 with the revised ordinance would allow construction to begin this summer. City staff supports the amendment, arguing it is consistent with the general plan and housing element policies. Additionally, Council will consider an ordinance to prohibit landlords from using Ratio Utility Billing System, or RUBS, a method of allocating utility costs among tenants in multifamily properties based on formulas related to unit size, number of bedrooms, or occupancy rather than actual usage. City staff argues that RUBS charges, which can fluctuate significantly, generate an increasing number of tenant complaints and may be used to circumvent Alameda's rent control limits. To encourage more accurate utility billing, the ordinance would allow landlords to recover the cost of installing separate utility meters over time as a capital improvement. For full details, including ways you can have your say in the process, see Karen Jensen's article at AlamedaPost.com/news. The City of Alameda announced it has reached an amicable and non-financial settlement agreement with Greenway Golf Associates Incorporated, which operates the Corica Golf Complex on Bay Farm Island. This agreement comes as a resolution to a 4-year legal dispute between the parties that went to trial in Alameda Superior Court last month. Among the terms of the agreement, the city and Greenway Golf will negotiate a new lease, removing references to the Capital Improvement Reserve Fund and clarifying the city's audit rights. The city will have the right to audit Greenway's gross revenue records for up to 3 prior years, and request audited financial statements annually. The agreement also addresses increasing greens fees and providing discounted fees for residents, seniors, and youths, as well as free golf for public school golf teams and equal access for residents and non-residents. Full details at alamedapost.com/news. The East Bay Municipal Utility District Board of Directors approved a $500,000 repair to an essential wastewater pipe that was accidentally punctured on May 28th by City of Alameda workers who were repairing a storm drain. The pipe, known as the Alameda Sewer Interceptor Pipeline, sits just above the storm drain and serves as a sewer line for both Alameda Island and Bay Farm Island. After the repairs are completed, EBMUD will ask the City of Alameda to pay for the costs associated with repairing the damaged pipe. Full story at alamedapost.com/news. Lots of Alameda families celebrating their newly minted high school graduates last week. Alameda Unified School District saw more than 700 students turn that tassel to the other side. More than 24 students received scholarships and academic awards. For a full list of recipients, see Susan Davis's article at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. The Connect Bay Area Regional Transportation ballot measure is headed your way in the November general election. It proposes a 1/2 cent sales tax increase in the counties of Alameda, Contra Costa, San Mateo, and Santa Clara. Here in Alameda, that would raise the sales tax from 10.75% to 11.25%. In case you're wondering, the highest sales tax rate in the nation is 11.5%, that distinction held by Gould, Arkansas. AC Transit has released their proposed contingency plan as a look at what would happen if the measure fails. Among the changes, Line 19 eliminated, reduced frequency on lines 30, 31, and 96, and the elimination of the O line on weekends. The W line would lose 1 westbound morning trip and 4 eastbound trips later in the day. Full story in Ken Durr's article at alamedapost.com/news. If you head down to Crown Beach at night, you might encounter a seriously wild scene. No, not with people, with fish. The California grunion used to be more of a SoCal resident, appearing in southern Santa Barbara County all the way down to Baja California in Mexico. Well, they do come to NorCal to spawn, much to the delight of night herons and least terns. In the dead of the night, during high tides, grunion have been showing up every year since 2017. First, the males begin scouting the shoreline, swimming in the shallow edge. As more fish arrive, the larger females begin digging in the sand with their tails. With only their heads showing, they begin laying eggs while the males circle around them and fertilize the eggs. Then the female wiggles out of the hole, they all swim back to the bay, and the eggs stay right where they are until the next high tide. Crown Beach has an enforced curfew, but if you'd like to check out the display, you can sign up for a guided scouting expedition with naturalist Susan Ramos. Get full details and some preview pictures in our article at alamedapost.com/nature. Be on the lookout for the Alameda Police Department as they try to catch kids on summer break doing the right thing. Thanks to a partnership with 7-Eleven, APD has instituted Operation Chill. As APD noted in a Facebook post, quote, whether it's helping someone cross the street, wearing a helmet while riding a bike, showing kindness and compassion to others, or making safe and responsible choices, we want to celebrate the positive actions that make our community stronger, end quote. That celebration taking the form of a sweet treat, a coupon good for a free Slurpee frozen drink. Details at alamedapost.com/news. In another Facebook post, APD noted something I've been focusing on here on the Postcast and the Alameda Connection, safety issues regarding e-bikes and scooters and parents who are enabling bad behaviors. On Sunday the 7th, officers responded to a collision involving an e-scooter and a parked vehicle. The operator of the scooter was 13 and not wearing a helmet. A few problems here. The California Vehicle Code requires a valid driver's license to operate an e-scooter, and riders who are 16 or 17 must wear a helmet at all times. Just my opinion, but fairly simple solution here. Don't buy illegal transportation for your kid. Time to check in on residential real estate sales from May 26th through June 8th. 24 homes closed, 16 on the main island, 8 on Bay Farm. Prices range from $690,000 to $2,270,000. 14 sold for more than asking price, 4 at listing, and in an unusual development, 6 properties went for under asking price. Full details in Liz Rush's article at alamedapost.com/real-estate. When you're part of a movement or a community, knowing who blazed the trail and how they did it is integral to moving forward. That's part of the mission of the Alameda Queer History Project. What started as an idea from Reverend Laura Rose, Senior Minister of First Congregational Church of Alameda, is now a reality. Full details on how you can participate, see Karen Jensen's article, alamedapost.com/alameda-life. While you're there, check out Amanda Laird's weekly all-around Alameda column for activities now that it looks like our heat wave is behind us. Rock and Roll Beer Stroll returns Saturday. Rhythmix Cultural Works brings Unity Fest to Chichenio on Saturday. Look for more Rhythmix Park events throughout the summer. Also on Saturday, Filipino R&B Kamayan Brunch at Faction. Saturday and Sunday, the Food Bank Players with the Tempest at Webster Park, and Sunday, the Alameda Yoga and Wellness Festival at Radium Runway. Full details in the All Around Alameda column at alamidapost.com/alameda-life. Hope you can join me Sunday morning at 8 on KCSM HD2 or streaming from kcsm.org for the latest episode of the Alameda Connection. My guest is Alameda Fire Chief Nick Luby. Don't forget, you can head to bayarearadio.org, cast your vote for the inaugural Bay Area Audiocaster of the Year award. You can vote as often as you like. Find the Alameda Post on all the social media platforms, now including TikTok. Get the Postcast wherever you get your podcasts, or tell your smart device to play the Alameda Postcast podcast. I'm Scott Peeler, back next Friday with episode 207 of the Alameda Postcast.